So picture this. Meghan Markle, once a royal, once wrapped in tiaras, titles, and endless magazine covers. She breaks free from the palace walls, steps into Hollywood, and signs a glittering Netflix deal worth millions. She's convinced her stardom is untouchable. She's got the name, the platform, and the budget. How could she fail, right? Well, buckle up, because what unfolded was nothing short of a career meltdown. And it didn't come from trolls, rivals, or tabloids. This humiliation came straight from the very company that cut her that fat paycheck, Netflix. With Love, Meghan Season 2 was supposed to be the redemption arc, her grand comeback, the one that silenced critics and finally showed the world she wasn't just some duchess chasing clout. She was a producer, a visionary. At least that's what she thought. Netflix didn't hold back either. They gave her everything: total creative control, a Hollywood-sized budget, and the freedom to structure episodes exactly how she wanted. Meghan made a bold move. Shoot everything in one big block, chop it into episodes later. Efficient? Maybe. Risky? Oh, absolutely. What she delivered to Netflix wasn't a polished gem. It was a bloated, confused mess. And the proof? 7 test screenings. Not 1, not 2, 7. And every single one ended in disaster. But nothing crashed harder than the finale. Now, let me paint the picture for you. The grand closing of Meghan's second season was meant to be her jaw-dropping, show-stopping moment. Instead, it was something straight out of a Saturday Night Live parody. A Christmas beach party in July on Malibu sand, complete with Christmas trees, fairy lights, inflatable ornaments, and wait for it, Meghan Markle herself dressed in a Pamela Anderson-style red swimsuit with a white apron. She's grilling hot dogs, strutting in slow motion, and lip-syncing to a rap remix of holiday carols. Yes, that really happened. Or rather, it almost did, because right before the season dropped, Netflix executives panicked. They scrapped the entire finale, wiped it, deleted, gone as if it never existed. And here's the kicker: they had already spent $5 million filming that one scene, 3 full days of production, 8 celebrity cameos from A-listers to washed-up names desperate for relevance, drones, stylists, custom lighting, Malibu's Zuma Beach, it was all there. And yet, when the test audience saw it, the reaction was brutal. One person literally walked out. Another called it career suicide on camera. Netflix had no choice. They buried the footage deep in the vault. For Meghan, that finale wasn't just another scene, it was her masterpiece. She believed it would shut down the haters, prove she still had the it factor, and give her the Hollywood validation she craved. So when Netflix informed her the entire Malibu Christmas beach fantasy was being chopped, she lost it. Full meltdown. She reportedly begged, pleaded, even demanded Netflix reconsider. She insisted the world needed to see her vision, but the executives held firm. They weren't about to risk unleashing a PR disaster of that scale. The finale was dead on arrival. And just like that, Meghan went from star of her own comeback to the woman whose grand finale was deemed too embarrassing for release. Behind Netflix's glass towers, panic was already brewing. The trailer alone had sparked backlash and mockery online. Add Meghan's Christmas in Malibu spectacle, and it was a recipe for ridicule. So internally, the project got a new label: a salvage operation. That's right, they weren't even trying to make it a hit anymore. They were scrambling just to stop the bleeding. Ted Sarandos himself, the top boss, got pulled in after the 7th failed screening. That almost never happens. One exec, after watching Meghan's beach scene with candy canes and glitter ornaments, whispered, "We're about to be roasted into oblivion." And roasted they were. Here's the wild part: this disaster didn't come out of nowhere. The original idea for Season 2 actually sounded decent. It was supposed to follow Meghan's attempts to rebuild her brand, show her vulnerability, her human side after the rocky reception of Season 1. It could have been raw, heartfelt, even touching. But somewhere along the way, Meghan stopped listening. She wasn't making a show anymore. She was making a shrine to herself. The moment she demanded total creative control, the production team went silent. They stopped pushing back. They stopped questioning. Every bizarre idea she threw at them got the green light. Fake sleigh on the beach? Approved. Rapping with Kendrick Lamar spliced into Jingle Bells? Approved. Grilling sausages in a bikini apron? Approved. One crew member later said the set wasn't a show, it was a PR stunt dressed up in Hollywood gloss. They weren't filming reality, they were filming Meghan's fantasy. And the result? A Christmas catastrophe wrapped in Malibu sand. People inside Netflix even gave the finale a nickname, Pam's Folly. Why? Because Meghan modeled herself after Pamela Anderson's old cooking show aesthetic. Except instead of charming irony, Meghan delivered full-blown cosplay. She strutted around in a red swimsuit with a white apron, fairy lights tangled in driftwood, and a pitifully small barbecue pit that looked more suited for a backyard garage sale than a multi-million-dollar production. The music, a trap remix of Christmas classics. And Meghan, lip-syncing, slow-motion strutting, flipping hot dogs like she was serving up the comeback of the century. The problem? It wasn't funny, it wasn't iconic, it was sad. Unintentionally hilarious at best. At worst, cringe so painful it was described as unwatchable. And the celebrity cameos, oh, the cameos, let's just say they didn't help. Some of them looked visibly confused mid-shoot. One guest swore they were told it was for a charity holiday PSA. Another bailed after an hour, citing creative differences, Hollywood code for I want nothing to do with this train wreck. And if you think that was the worst of it, wait. The technical side of this masterpiece was a disaster too. Continuity errors? Everywhere. In one frame, the Christmas tree lights were twinkling. In the next, poof, gone. A snow machine sprayed foam straight into a celebrity's eye mid-shot. The lip-syncing was out of sync. And boom mics, yep, reflections caught on camera. Then there was Meghan's obsession with lighting. She demanded to look angelic, but the overexposed glow washed out everything else. Guests, props, the set, it all looked flat and lifeless. It was less heavenly and more home video. By the end, the footage was unreleasable. Not just bad, unreleasable. One producer summed it up as the most expensive deleted scene Netflix has ever made. When Meghan found out the finale was being buried, the fallout was instant. Her team scrambled, threats of legal action flew, drafted press statements were ready to defend her creative vision. Private phone calls accused Netflix of betrayal, but Netflix didn't budge. The finale was dead, period. Instead, the streaming giant patched together a bland replacement, a montage of leftover B-roll, stitched just enough to limp across the finish line. No big ending, no festive closeout, just a quiet fade to black. And with that, Meghan's $5 million Malibu dream, 3 days of lights, cameras, celebrity wrangling, got locked away in Netflix's vault, never to be seen again. But here's the thing, you can't bury something like that without leaving a trail. And the internet? Oh, it feasts on trails. Even before the show dropped, the trailer clips had already been snatched up, chopped, remixed, and plastered across TikTok and YouTube. One viral parody rebranded the series as Malibu Mayhem, a Christmas catastrophe. Another mashed Meghan's footage with old Pamela Anderson clips, mocking her failed imitation. Within 48 hours of the trailer's release, Meghan was trending, but for all the wrong reasons. Reaction channels ripped her apart. Fashion bloggers mocked her cosplay chic apron look. Pop culture analysts laughed at her grill skills. Commentators dragged her lip-sync performance into oblivion. And suddenly, Meghan Markle wasn't trending as Hollywood royalty. She was trending as Hollywood's punchline. While the internet had its field day, inside Meghan's own mansion, the mood was anything but festive. Those close to her said she felt betrayed. Betrayed by Netflix, betrayed by her team, even betrayed by the very people she thought were protecting her. And honestly, can you blame her for feeling blindsided? Nobody on her production team had the guts to tell her how bad the finale looked while they were filming it. Meeting after meeting, Meghan thought she was crafting something iconic. Nobody dared burst her bubble. So when Netflix finally swung the axe, it wasn't just about a deleted finale. It was the brutal realization that she'd been living in a fantasy and everyone around her had let her. But here's where it gets even uglier. When with love, Meghan. Season 2 finally limped onto Netflix. Curiosity gave it a brief push into the top 10. For a moment, Meghan probably thought she'd pulled it off, but that high didn't last. Within days, reruns, documentaries, even nature specials pushed it down the charts. Viewer retention was abysmal. Most people didn't even make it past episode 2. And the critics? Oh, they showed no mercy. Words like soulless, egotistical, and tone-deaf filled reviews. Headlines mocked it. Netflix should have left this on the cutting room floor. One even called it a masterclass in how not to produce television. And remember, Netflix had actually considered pulling the entire season at one point, but legally that would have been an even bigger mess, so they dumped it on the platform just to cut their losses. Here's the real sting. Meghan's finale became infamous inside Netflix as the most expensive deleted scene in recent memory. $5 million gone. And Hollywood? Hollywood has a long memory. That kind of stain doesn't wash off easily. Meghan went from being the buzzy royal-turned-producer with potential to the woman behind Netflix's most humiliating cut. Her reputation shifted almost overnight. Meetings dried up. The glow of untapped star power faded into whispers of unreliable, out of touch, and too difficult to work with. At Netflix HQ, the distancing was swift and silent. Marketing budgets were slashed, press junkets quietly canceled. Cast members were told to tone down interviews. PR managers even ghosted reporters asking about the missing finale. No one wanted to explain why 8 celebrities filmed a Christmas beach party that mysteriously disappeared. They just wanted it to fade away, but the internet doesn't forget. Clips from the trailer kept circulating. TikToks, memes, YouTube parodies, reaction videos with titles like "What Was Meghan Markle Thinking?" racked up millions of views. The Crown Jewel, a viral remix of the teaser, recut into a mock reality series called Malibu Mayhem, the holiday special nobody asked for. That one alone hit over 10 million views in a week. And then came the final blow. Behind closed doors, Netflix started reviewing her contract. That big, shiny, multi-project deal quietly paused. No new projects greenlit, no spin-offs, no specials, future Meghan content dead in the water. Even whispers of her pitching a documentary-style spin-off were shot down before they left the conference table. The executives weren't touching her name again, at least not anytime soon. Now Meghan didn't just sit back and take the humiliation. Her team scrambled for a narrative. They whispered to friendly outlets that Netflix was afraid of her creativity, that Meghan's vision was just too bold for them to handle. They even floated the idea of releasing the original finale independently, maybe on YouTube, maybe as a special edition. But Netflix's legal team slammed that door shut fast. They owned the footage, and they weren't about to let that Christmas catastrophe see daylight. And so Meghan's supposed Hollywood comeback ended not with applause, not with vindication, but with silence. The Malibu Beach finale that was meant to prove her star power became the punchline that confirmed her critics were right all along. She bet big on herself. She demanded the control. She claimed the vision. She called the shots. And Netflix? They cashed the check. But when the smoke cleared, Meghan was left standing in the ashes of her own production. A star without shine, a comeback turned catastrophe. Once the smoke cleared, Meghan wasn't just dealing with a show that flopped, she was staring at the crumbling image she'd spent years trying to build. Think about it. She walked away from the royal family, traded tiaras for Hollywood lights, and banked on being a producer, a storyteller, a brand. She thought Netflix was the stage for her rebirth. Instead, it became the stage for her most public humiliation since Megxit. Hollywood is ruthless. Reputation is currency. And Meghan's stock value plummeted almost overnight. It wasn't just the Netflix deal on ice. The entire industry shifted its tone. Studios that once circled her name like vultures looking for fresh meat suddenly backed away. Production companies stopped calling. PR firms whispered warnings. She's too risky. In the cutthroat world of entertainment, one major flop is survivable. But a flop this loud, this public, this expensive, that stain sticks. Meghan went from potential power player to the butt of Hollywood jokes. And you better believe people inside the industry laughed. Quietly, of course, but laughed all the same. One executive was overheard calling her the Duchess of Delusion. Another reportedly muttered, "We should have known it would crash. Everything with her is drama." And the internet? Oh, the internet made sure Meghan's humiliation lived on forever. Clips of her lip-syncing in that apron kept resurfacing, sometimes spliced with footage of actual cooking shows, sometimes with laugh tracks added for effect. Memes of her Malibu Christmas moment spread across Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. One viral post put her slow-motion strut side by side with a Christmas commercial for cheap hot dogs, captioned, "When the Duchess finally finds her true calling." Millions watched. Millions laughed. Every time she trended after that, the comments section brought it back up. "Where's the finale, Meghan?" became a running joke. Even when she tried to talk about charity or causes close to her heart, someone would always slide in with a gif of her flipping hot dogs on the beach. Those close to her say she was crushed, not just embarrassed, crushed. She thought she was curating her big moment, the thing that would put her back on the A-list. Instead, she was reduced to a meme. Her confidence, already fragile, took another hit. Sources whispered about tense arguments in her mansion, about sleepless nights, about Meghan feeling like Hollywood had turned its back on her, just like the royals did. But here's the thing, the royals never told her she couldn't barbecue in a bikini. Hollywood, apparently, just did. And that's where the lesson stings. Meghan wanted control. She wanted to be the boss. She didn't want producers or execs telling her no. And Netflix, desperate for the clout of signing a royal name, let her have it. They gave her the keys. She drove the car, and she drove it straight into the wall. $5 million, a finale that will never see the light of day, and a reputation that Hollywood won't soon forget. So now the big question, what's next for Meghan Markle? Does she double down, try to claw her way back with another project, or does she quietly fade into the background hoping people forget about the Malibu fiasco? So far, the signs aren't promising. Her Netflix deal is frozen. Other studios aren't rushing in. public opinion? Still bruised. For Meghan, the dream was to become a Hollywood power player to prove she wasn't just the Duchess who quit. But in chasing that dream, she may have proven exactly what her critics always said, that without the royal family's crown, the shine doesn't last. And so here we are. A woman who thought she was untouchable ends up humiliated by the very empire she thought would protect her. Netflix didn't set out to destroy Meghan Markle, but when faced with her Malibu madness, they had no choice. The most expensive deleted scene in their history, a finale too embarrassing to ever air, a comeback that turned into a catastrophe. The truth is brutal. Meghan Markle bet everything on her Hollywood vision, and Hollywood laughed her right off the stage.